The nation continues to reel from the ruthless murders of brothers John and David Ramnarace on New Year's Eve in Belmopan. The question of just punishment, in light of such a callous act of violence, is once again at the center of public discourse. The death penalty is also at the heart of that discussion. We put the question to Belmopan Mayor Sharon Palacio and Pastor Richard Smith earlier today.
My mind is on there has to be justice for this family, the families, because such an act, and as you rightly said, I mean, everybody, we saw the video, and you can see that whosoever that person is an expert. That person is highly trained. And such a person needs to be punished, the full brunt of the law. Whatever is in there, that person needs to get maximum punishment.
Truth be told, we cannot exempt from death sentence. I think it's a hard question you're asking, because when you say the traumatized, well, that little kid traumatized for the rest of her life. To see my mom got shot in front of my very own eyes. The damage that done to this poor lady that have to go through so much surgery, the amount of money being spent, money you don't have. Paul, this man, as I look at this situation, shot all two and went into the house and came back and shot this individual who probably already dead already, and to shoot extra, there's no mercy, there's no remorse over the whole situation. And I think our judicial system is too light, because if this guy has enough money, he'll get away, walk away. The Bible says the soul that sins shall surely die. So if the man kill, hang the man.
The Commissioner of Police agrees that the killer dispatched the siblings without a second thought. The shooter demonstrated experience in the handling of a firearm and apparent technical training, characteristics that have led the Commissioner to believe that the murderer was an expert.
Clearly, this is my opinion. The shooter have a wealth of experience in handling a firearm. The way he maneuvered the firearm and maneuvered himself shows that he is well trained. And like you rightly said, he had a specific intent to kill. Even after he had shot the victims outside, he went in, came out back and I don't want to go too graphic, but what he did when he came back outside showed the clear intent to kill.
Is that the first time that suspect, the person seen in that video, has killed? Or is that a professional killer at work?
I cannot say that. I can't say if he have killed before. Certainly I would agree that the manner in which he did it is outrageous and demonstrates some level of experience or expertise in the handling of firearm. But I cannot go to the extent of saying that he have killed before. I cannot say.
Wouldn't you also say some remorselessness?
Yes, certainly.
So what we saw in that video is someone who apparently is trained to kill.
Perhaps, but not trained by us.
Belize does not have a mandatory death penalty in its laws. Therefore, capital punishment must be invoked in specific instances at the start of a trial process. In this instance, the prosecution must determine whether the crime warrants such a response. Attorney Arthur Saldivar gave us further insight.
Looking at it, those young men didn't have a fighting chance. That was murder in cold blood. Now, the police have arrested a suspect, charged a suspect, and are gathering evidence to marshal a prosecution of that suspect. But until such time as the evidence is brought before the court, that's all that person is, a suspect with an allegation and the constitutional presumption of innocence. But I will say this in respect of that. Where we have a situation such as this, where we are able to see the calculation that has gone into, the planning that has gone into, the execution of that act, it would be incumbent then on the DPP's office, and I use the office because certainly the DPP in this particular situation has her hands shackled. But the office would have to initially, at the initial stage of the prosecution, request that the death penalty be placed as an option upon successful prosecution. It has to come at the start of the process. The only reason why this conversation is not premature in this context is because it is required at the start of the process. One has to contemplate whether or not the crime that has been committed would warrant this kind of reaction from the onset. But outside of that, the most important thing, apart from applying for that penalty, is the gathering of the evidence, the marshalling of the evidence. And here we have it, that the track record of our police department in investigating one of its own has not been stellar.
Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.